Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. A'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lah wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lah. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh arsalahu bil huda wa dinil haqqi ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتى اليقين فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah's peace, His guidance, His mercy, His protection, and His forgiveness be with you and with all your loved ones, inshallah, in this life and the day this life terminates and the day when we are all brought in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Today, inshallah, we will discuss, jointly study ayah number 187 of second chapter Al-Baqarah. Before we come to that ayah, I always present an ayah which Qur'an explains itself what Qur'an is. Allah explains about Qur'an in Qur'an. And it says in ayah number 121 in Surah Al-Baqarah, the Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, alladhina ataynahumul kitaba yatlunahu haqqa tilawatih أولئك يؤمنون به إلى آخر الآية. And the meaning of this ayah in English translation, closer to the meaning of the ayah, is, and those whom we have given this book, they recite it with its true recital. They are the one, those who believe in it. And the scholars about يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ, that true recital, the scholars say the true recital is that those who come to this book, they read it, they understand it, they apply and implement its prohibitions and its permissions on themselves, and then take the message to others through personal practices. A person deals with you, should know that you are a Muslim, that's why you are so. And we are doing it, but we are doing it in a wrong way. People look at us and say, look at this idiot, look at this guy, he's doing this, he must be a Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us another message, and we are totally going the other way, because we read, but we don't understand. When we understand, we don't implement on ourselves, but we understand and we try somebody else to follow it, not us. And that is the real problem. Today, inshallah, as I mentioned, that we will be talking about studying ayah number 187 of Surah Al-Baqarah. It's a long ayah, inshallah, but it is a very, very important ayah, so we will do just one ayah. I was trying to do this ayah, I recited it in the last program which I presented from Kennebunkport in Maine, state of Maine, but we couldn't come to we couldn't even start the second ayah, and we only did ayah number 186. So first recitation, then translation, and then inshallah tafsir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أهل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله تلك حدود الله فلا تقربوها كذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون. صدق الله العظيم. Inshallah, the translation of this ayah closer to the meaning in English. It is made lawful for you to have a spousal relationship with your wives during the nights of the month of Ramadan. They are a garment for you, and you are a garment for them. Allah knows that you were deceiving yourself, so He accepted your repentance and forgave you. So now have a spousal relationship with your wives and seek what Allah has ordained for you, and eat and drink until the white thread appears distinct from the black thread, the darkness of night or the light of the day, of the dawn coming up. Then complete your fast till the night falls, and do not have spousal relationships with them while you are in itikaf in the masajid. These are the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't even go near them. Don't even go near them. That's how Allah makes His ayat clear for mankind, so they may practice righteousness. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Beautiful ayah, mashallah, tabarakallah. We will take the portions of this ayah, and first portion we will take is, it is made lawful for you to have a spousal relationship with your wives during the nights of the month of fasting. Al-Qurtubi and Tafsir al-Suddi, and I have to give you a direct quote from it. Tafsir al-Suddi said that this ayah applies in many different situations, not only relationship with wives. And the primary reason is that it was forbidden at a point in time to have a spousal relationship with wives during the day or the night of Ramadan. And then the prohibition was removed, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to abrogate a part of that prohibition and allowed that. The other situation is described in Sunan Abi Dawud. You see, you have to go to different books to get the proper references to present it. And the other situation is described in Sunan Abi Dawud, reported from Sayyidina Ibn Abi Layla, that a man broke his fast. He broke his fast at the iftar time, and then he went to sleep before eating the meal, or did not even wake up for suhoor. Means he would not break his fast until the next iftar. He didn't eat anything after iftar. Or he did not eat. He was tired, he fell asleep. It's hardship of those days. There were no BMWs, right? So, or people, sitting in air-conditioned offices and things like that. The man was tired, he slept, and he slept through, and he even missed the suhoor. And he continued his fast till the next Maghrib. Another situation was when a man among the Ansar wanted to eat, and his wife was preparing food for him for iftar. But he fell asleep. The first one was, he did iftar but did not eat after Salat al-Maghrib. And then he slept through the suhoor until he heard the adhan and woke up. So he didn't eat anything. The other situation is, a man came home among the Ansar. He came home and he went to sleep while his wife was preparing the food for it, and she woke him up, and he would not wake up, and he slept through the iftar and the suhoor. So now he is hungry for all that time after the iftar, and from the morning he was fasting. So it is 24 hours and plus the 16 hours or 14 hours of fast, whatever the weather was at the time. In the morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah. In the morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this ayah, Kulu washrabu. That part of ayah. Some scholars say, although there may have not been any specific orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the early days prohibiting a spousal relationship in the night or night and day, nights of Ramadan, but Jews and Christians used to fast those times, and they were observing that they would not have any relationship. So most of the people generally believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Qur'an was sent down, my respected brothers and sisters, in 23 years. So not all the orders of everything came at once. It came upon people gradually. Gradually. The first thing was, number one important thing was to remove people from worshipping idols and taking deities other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stop them from committing shirk. The second thing was to treat their women better. Stop burying their daughters when they were reaching the age. They used to bury them alive. So that was the purpose. So most of the earlier ayat are around that. So this about Ramadan. So the Jews and Christians were fasting. So most of the people generally believed that was not permissible to have relationship at night. Sahih al-Bukhari reported from Sayyidina al-Bara'a ibn Adhib radiyallahu anh saying that among the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if someone was fasting and he went to sleep, before he broke his fast, he remained asleep. Some people were not married. They did not have families. Some migrated from different areas and accepted Islam. So nobody in their household was Muslim and they were living alone. So the person would not eat that night or even the next suhoor until the next iftar. Another narration says that Qais ibn Sirma al-Ansari was fasting, but before the iftar he fell asleep. He continues his fast without iftar and also missed the suhoor next day. In the middle of the day, he fainted. Because of the weakness, and he fell. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was informed about him for what happened and why he fell and why he fainted. So at that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told people, few hours later, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent this ayah, which is now ayah number 187. Because it proves what? It proves وَبَشِّرُوا وَلَا تُنَفِّرُوا. That it proves that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told people that give glad tidings to people and don't make religion difficult for them. Not that everything you did in mistake or a human error, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to burn you in hell. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a prison warden. He is not a police officer, astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ar-Rahman, ar-Rahim. You approach him and he is ready to forgive you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, all your life. You need to approach him. The word rafath, Tafsir al-Qurtubi said, means sexual relationship between spouses. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas and As-Suddi and Az-Zajjaj said that rafath means the husband and wife's physical relationship. This is the rafathu ila nisaikum. Nisa means the women, that nisaikum, your women. So next portion of the ayah which we would take is a very, very important portion. And it says, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. That they are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. When we are at that point, at that topic, we should understand what is the purpose of marriage in Islam. You are not bringing a maid to do your laundry or pick up your dishes, or the socks which you have thrown in the middle of the living room, pick it up and then wash it and fold it and put it away for you. You are getting an equal mate in your life who is a cover for you. So what is the purpose of marriage in Islam? Briefly, the metaphor of hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun means that they are a garment, they are a cover, they are a clothing. As the metaphor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using of clothing and cover and a garment is used because a married couple to each other is like a garment. They are next to each other's skin. Just as nothing intervenes between the body and the libas and the cover which you have on, between the body and the clothes which you have on, there is nothing in between. Your clothing is touching your body. That's how. As there is nothing in between the person's body and his clothes, so nothing can intervene in between a relationship of a man with his wife, except with good intent, except to make things better, not to make things worse. And it is meant to be a relationship of inalienable, that it cannot be alienated. It cannot be, it's not inalienable closeness between husband and wife. The general purpose of marriage is that the two genders live with each other in peace, tranquility, provide company, mutual love, and procreate. It's not only to have children. That is one of the things of marriage. But more than that, it is peace, it is tranquility, it is providing company, be there in good, bad, and ugly situations with each other. Marriage is the only possible way for the genders to unite. One should choose to live any which way the person wants, a man or a woman. But choosing marriage is submitting to the wish and will of Allah in His obedience. That's why you marry. That's why you are making God a witness to your marriages. Marriage is a covenant and should be entered into with total commitment. With total commitment. One should be mature enough to understand the demands of marriage so that the marital union can be a lasting one. Marriage is not an arrangement of convenience for a temporary period. In Islam, the temporary marriages are haram. Haram, it's completely prohibited in Islam. Some people still practice it. It's their business. I'm not going to call them good, bad, or ugly. Okay? But marriage for a temporary time period or for a temporary purpose is haram in Islam. Islam prescribes certain measures making the marital bond permanent. The parties must be of proper age. You can't take somebody, with not proper age, no compatibility, and general compatibility, reasonable dowry, goodwill, free consent, honorable intention, and reasonable judicious discretions towards each other. There have to be a valid reason and good intentions to go into a marital contract. Marriage is a unique institution with extraordinary sacramental and contractual features. I can do it now, marriage ceremony. However, if it does not work for any valid reason, it can be terminated in kindness with honor and equity and peace. In chapter Al-Baqarah, ayah number 237, Allah the Almighty ordains that if divorce is the only solution left, for whatever marital issues we have, then the parties need to agree to it. It's not that the mother-in-law or father-in-law or this side or that side should agree for divorce. No, husband and wife, if they agree for divorce, nobody can force them, compel them to go divorce your husband or go divorce your wife because I said so. It's haram in Islam. So if the divorce is the only solution of the marital problem, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in ayah number 237, and it says, وَلَا تَنْسَوُوا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ وَلَا تَنْسَوُوا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, and do not forget the graciousness and love between you that brought you together. Even if you are separating, then the graciousness and love which brought you together should also be a driving factor that it is better for you to separate. Not that I want to hurt her or I want to hurt him, and that's why they should divorce each other. That is against Islam, and it's one of the major sins. The glorious Quran further sets the principles in chapter Al-Baqarah. It sets the principle in chapter Al-Baqarah in ayah number 229 to 232, and An-Nisa, ayah number 4th chapter, ayah number 19. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is man's duty to Allah. It is a man's duty to Allah to treat his wife with kindness, honor, and patience. Be patient with her. There may be things you don't like. but Allah may have kept something good for you in it. And it says to keep her honorably. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it is your duty to Allah to keep her, to treat your wife with kindness and honor and patience, and to keep her honorably or free her from the marital bond with honor. Don't go after her character. Don't try to destroy her reputation in the community. Don't go around and talk against her. And the same thing is in case of man. If he hasn't done anything wrong, then making an excuse to badmouth him or his family, it is against the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further says that it is a man's duty not to treat his wife even at the time of divorce to cause harm or grief to her. It is a man's duty. These are the purposes of marriage. Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. That they are a garment to you and you are a garment to them. And it says marriage is not a temporary arrangement of convenience. It is convenient to marry so we can get a green card or yellow card or blue card or red card. You know, if that is done, then the marriage is for that purpose, not for that man or not for that woman. It is for that purpose you married. Your intentions are very... Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that your intentions, your actions are based on your intention. If your action is to get a green card and that's why you go after him or after her, then you have false intentions and you will be asked about it. The parties must make their efforts to live with each other in harmony, mutual respect, and demands their rights only. You can only demand your right if you are fulfilling your responsibilities. If you're not fulfilling your duties, you don't have rights. You have to fulfill your duty, your responsibility. Then you can demand your rights. You know, otherwise there are no rights. It can only be left. You know, not rights. The husband and wife must comfort, cover, and protect each other like a garment. In all extreme weathers of life. Life is like a weather. Day by day it changes. If your spouse is with you, protecting you and covering you from the extremes of life, this life can be a small paradise for you if you have understanding with your spouse. And if not, and there should not be any third party involved. If third parties are involved, they are to be involved for a better reason, to make marriage work. And if they have to divorce, to make divorce work in honorable way. Don't go out behind anybody and talk to people and tell them how bad that family is, or how bad that boy is, or how bad that girl is, that I can't live with him or her.
So third party also include parents, right?
Of course. The parents, on the basis of their experience, what their experience is, their experience doesn't have to be good. Their experience can be bad, but they can say that, look beta, this happened, look my son, ya ibni, you know, or you know, whatever you call that, this or my daughter, I'm telling you that, look, this is my experience of life, let not this happen to you. That is an advice for the sake of Allah, for a higher purpose, for a higher reason, for a higher being. The garment, what does a garment do? When it is cooler, you can't go out in a jacket. You know, when it is warm, you can go out in a jacket. When it is warm, you cannot. You will be uncomfortable. So your garment, your spouse, your husband or your wife have to be a source of comfort. Have to be a source of comfort for you. And the garment also makes you look good, right? You stand in front of the mirror and say, oh yeah, you know. And the garments make you, it is an adornment, it is your decoration, it beautifies you, it covers your weaknesses. The spouse, girl or the boy, man or the woman, those who go around and talk against their wives to other people, even those people are their parents, either girl does it or the boy does it, are violating the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ آيَاتِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly showing you all those ayat, his signs, and telling you what not to do. And we continue to do that. And this thing It goes from generations to generations to generations, you know, and that need to stop. Al-Qurtubi says it is one of the purposes of the marriage is that the spouses remind and protect and guide each other in the matters of violation of Allah's orders. If the father, if the daughter is doing, if the wife is doing something wrong, the husband should remind her. If he is doing something wrong and she reminds, try to remind it in our communities. If the wife is stand up and say what you did is wrong, she may get a slap on her face that she can't even go out of the house for 2 weeks. You know, and then we tell our wife, to mashallah, you have to cover your hair. You know, what a hypocrisy. What a hypocrisy. Marriage relationships is based on rights, duties, limits, and responsibilities, not only for the marrying couple, but also for their immediate families. For their immediate families. Every married couple is a nucleus of human race. Every married couple. When your children get married, okay, you are coming out of that nucleus. They are coming out of that nucleus and making their own nucleus. So you have to trust them, give them some responsibility, and do not interfere except for something which is in the matter of your rights. Not that you don't like the color of the shirt she has on, or the size of the boot the man has, your son-in-law has, and you start picking on that. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said the wife is not a plaything in the hands of her husband. Wife is not a toy in the hand of her husband, but a moral responsibility and an equal spiritual being which is entrusted to him in the name of Allah. Show me a marriage contract where you never recited, you know, any of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wife therefore is not only to bring pleasure and happiness, but both parties are to cooperate in making their own marital life a living pleasure. A living pleasure. The glorious Qur'an in many ayat points out the purpose of the marriage. For example, in today's ayah number 187, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, your spouses are a garment to you. Remember what a garment does to you. The garment covers your nakedness. The garments provide you comfort. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, your spouses, for a boy, a girl, for the girl, the boy. Okay? They are a garment to you. In chapter An-Nisa, Nisa means woman. 4th chapter, 1st ayah. Chapter number 4, 1st ayah. O mankind, be dutiful to your Lord, who created you from a single soul. This is the ayah, mashallah, tabarakallah. Our nikah people, this is the first ayah. Ya ayyuhan nasu budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidatin wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa wattaqullaha alladhi tasaaluna bihi wal arham inna Allaha kana alaykum raqiba. And the one who is reading it, reciting it, and taking $200 to do the marriage ceremony doesn't even know what does it mean. And here is what it means. O mankind, be dutiful to your Lord who created you from a single soul. And he created your mate. Mate means what? Equal. A pair. Your foot, unless somebody has a deformed foot, you know, a physical deformity, your both shoes, the only difference is one is right, the other one is left, but they both look same. You don't have a black shoe and a white shoe next to it. And you go out, people will laugh at you. So, and scattered from them many men and women. Allah has scattered from them many men and women. And refrain from the disobedience of Allah, through whom you demand your mutual rights from each other in marriage. And do not cut the relationship of the womb. Do not cut the relationship of the womb. Allah is watching over you. Wallahi, if you understand this ayah, we would all go home and revise our thinking about our relationships with people, with our wives. In chapter Al-Araf, which is the 2nd chapter, ayah number 17, it is Allah who created mankind out of one soul, and created his spouse so that he may find comfort in her and rest in her, and they both find rest and comfort in each other. One soul. In chapter of Rome, 30th chapter, ayah number 21, and of his signs, he created mates for you like yourself. Your wife's nose is not on the back of the head, it's front where your nose is. She's like you. She's softer version of you. Softer version of you. Okay? So, mates for like yourself, that you may find rest and comfort in them. And he put love and compassion between you. And surely in this are the signs for those who reflect, those who think. The sign for them. Sign for them. Wife is not inferior to her husband, nor the husband is created from any superior material. You know, that I'm better. That's what you will hear. People will tell you, you are better than her. You know, you are a man. You know, but they are progeny of Adam and Eve. Both of them are progeny of Adam and Eve, having the same origin and same soul. Same origin and same soul. Marriage is a commitment to the survival of human race that the husband and wife make to one another, as well to the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are required to work for mutual fulfillment of love, peace, compassion, comfort, and hope. Hope is a part in marriage that you can't live without. Otherwise, every small conflict you would be divorcing every day. There will be conflicts. When there are two people getting together and there are third parties, significant or insignificant others are involved, you know, there will be some skirmishes. But those skirmishes do not need to turn into World War III. You know, even the most difficult of times, Qur'an ordains spouses to be kind towards each other. In chapter Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands, live with them in kindness. Just think about it. Why Allah is so interested in keeping the peace in between husband and wife? He is interested in keeping husband and wife because you will be creating the future generation. Otherwise, this same turmoil will transfer to generation over generation over generation. It's a virus. It will be just like a virus. You know, it just spreads from one house to the other. Those who get involved in the middle of it, try to contain it. Try to look at the resolution. What can be done tomorrow, not what happened yesterday. What can be done tomorrow to make things better? Or even divorce, even separate. Cut it off if you can't live with it. But take a calculated risk, make an educated decision, and follow it. Even in the most difficult times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that live with them in kindness, and if you dislike anything about them, it may be that you dislike something in which Allah has placed a lot of benefit for you. The Islamic provision and instructions in marriage are given equally to both men and women. It's not that the men can take, you know, all kind of garbage from a woman or from her side and still live with it because Allah told him to love her. You know, it's a two-way street. But do your best to continue on that two-way street. A good marriage is even, good for a woman more than a man. Because a good marriage provides women an economic security, as the man is made responsible by Allah to take care of her provision, her clothing, her security, her privacy in the house where she is living, her privacy, and support to the best of his abilities. If a person can only have a one-bedroom house or two-bedroom house, and one is with the husband and wife, and the other is for parents, and there is only one bathroom, try to do your best. If you can't do it, then Allah knows your capacities. But you cannot say that, no, the first turn to go to bathroom would be me and my parents, and you wait till we are all gone. You know. The next part of the ayah is that Allah knows that you were deceiving yourself, so He accepted your repentance and forgave you. The portion of the ayah deals with the betrayal of having husband and wife relationship and not eating after sleeping during the nights of fasting without breaking the fast and without having suhoor. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has regulated that you have to have a suhoor, gave you a certain time. You have to have an iftar, gave you a certain time. These are called intermittent fast. Allah is merciful. He doesn't want you hungry and thirsty, and you just faint and fell and can't do anything because you are fasting for 24 hours. It's not part of Islam to fast 24 hours. Al-Qurtubi said that the root meaning of betrayal, the root meaning of khayana, alim Allahu annakum kuntum takhtanuna fataba anfusakum kuntum takhtanuna anfusakum fataba alaykum. That Allah knows that you are betraying yourself. What is the concept of betraying myself? You betray. A man is interested. Allah is entrusting mankind to do certain thing in certain way. And when you don't do it, you are not fulfilling your contract with Allah. That is called betrayal. The breach of contract in the legal language, that is breach of contract. The fact remains that whoever disobeys Allah's orders does not hurt Allah. Whoever obeys Allah's orders does not help Allah. He helps himself or betrays himself. That is the concept of good and bad, that it only helps us if it is good. If it is bad, that it only hurts us, not Allah. Allah the Almighty, in this ayah, in this part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first reproaches them and for their actions of what they were doing, and then made it clear that it is prohibited to have a spousal relationship with between husband and wife during the day in Ramadan, but it is permitted at night. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word fataba alaykum, that then He decided to forgive you. It is Allah's decision. If He wants to forgive, He forgives. If He wants to punish, He punishes. If He wants not to even account for it, He would say, I give you a rain check on that. I would not account you for that because you did such and such good thing. Means Allah turns towards them, and it can mean two different things, two possible things. Number one is that He accepts their repentance from betraying themselves, and number two is that Allah is making it easier for them, and now allowing them. Allah is now allowing them to do what previously was forbidden. The majority of the people, they just stay away from their spouses the day and night. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has changed it and gave them and made and allowed it. So the next part of the ayah said, so now فَالْآنَ بَاشِرُهُنَّ وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. So now have a spousal relationship with them and seek what Allah has ordained for you. People has misunderstood a lot of part, but the scholars, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, has left so much literature behind on this. And it says the literal meaning of word mubashara, fal'ana bashiru, is from the word from mubashara, means husband and wife relation or skin to skin contact, physical contact. The word fal'ana means now. So now. It means so now. It is the part of as a part of the ayah, it means that now it is lawful for you. It is made lawful for you, which Allah has forbidden for you before. Now He has turned towards you and He has made things easier for you. Previous nations, they used to do day and night, and some day and night fast also, more than 24-hour fast. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Al-Hakam ibn Uwayna, Al-Hasan, Tafsir, and As-Suddi rahmatullah alayh, and Sayyidina Rabi ibn al-Anas said that this also refers to seeking a child from the husband and wife relationship. But Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas further said, وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, means the search for what Allah has ordained for you in Qur'an. Learn what you are commanded and permitted matters, and also the prohibited matters. We have some time. Qatada and Ibn Atiyah said, it means that take advantage of the allowances which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted you. Take allowances, advantage of the allowances which Allah has granted you, and refrain from what He has prohibited you from. You know what we do? We take advantage of the allowance, but we don't stay away from what He has prohibited. You can't do that. That brings us closer to being a munafiq, a hypocrite, than a Muslim. And a hypocrite is worse than a disbeliever. A hypocrite is worse than disbeliever. And when it is further said, and eat and drink until the white thread appears distinct from the black thread, then complete your fast till the night falls. Because others also used to fast during Ramadan, there was a miscomprehension in practice, and this ayah number 187, removed that misunderstanding or miscomprehension of that. Some people thought that eating and drinking were absolutely prohibited. Eating and drinking was absolutely prohibited after Isha prayers. That you ate, you do your iftar, and you ate something, you had dinner after that, and then after you pray Isha, you don't eat nothing till suhoor. That is not true. Well, it does not apply for us because we stay up all night so we can eat. Those practices, we may not pray even Maghrib or Isha during Ramadan or Taraweeh, but we stay up so we can eat. Those practices of the time cause people great inconvenience, and this ayah clarifies all such misconceptions. The portion of this ayah defines the duration of fast, the time of fast. In time of fast is from dawn to sunset. Between sunset and dawn, it is permissible to eat. Between sunset and dawn, it is permissible to eat and drink and have legitimate spousal relationship. And the reverse is between between dawn and sunset, that you can't eat and you cannot drink and you cannot have a spousal relationship during the month of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ recommended having whatever good meal is there just before dawn. So have the suhoor, and he prohibited fasting hungry unless a person has nothing at all. He can sip some water, and if it does not hurt him, then he should fast. And if he is sick or he is traveling, certain distances which we talked about. The word khaytul abyad. What is the meaning al khaytul abyad? Khaytul abyad means, khayt means thread, abyad means white. Min al khaytil aswad means from the thread that is dark, which is a black thread. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abi Hatim said that I asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is the white thread from a black thread? Should I actually take two threads and see and compare if I can see which one and act accordingly? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam responded that you will be a thick head. You will be a thick head if you compare those two threads to establish the time of fasting. Then he said, no, rather it is the blackness of night and the whiteness of day when it starts appearing. Anybody who flies, when you go over on horizon, you can see when the night is disappearing and when day is taking over the darkness of night. The white thread on the horizon is a clear sign that the night is ending, and the white line of daylight is spreading. And the same is true for the black thread, means the daylight is disappearing and the darkness of the night is spreading. This is Tafsir al-Qurtubi, that's why I have to look and give you a direct quote. Al-Bukhari said that coming of the dawn and coming of the darkness is called thread. Coming of the dawn and coming of the darkness is called thread because it appears just like a thread, white or black on the horizon. And that is so true. Nobody was flying those days. But we can see it when the night is coming up, taking over the day, or the day is taking over the night. When we are flying, we can see that. Or if even you are driving and you have clear sky and you can see in front of you going from here to Los Angeles, and you just go to a little bit higher altitude and you can see, even when you are driving. Al-Qurtubi and others says that during Ramadan, what is allowed in the night, this is a very clear indication which we must know. that during Ramadan, what is allowed at night is not permitted during the day. And what is permitted during the day is not permitted during the night. The dawn marks the beginning of the fast, and the night marks the end of the fast. Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, Sayyidina Anas said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to break the fast with fresh dates. This is not related with the topic, but it's a hadith. I want to share it because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." That talk about me even if it is a single word. So there are rewards in it, and we should not miss it. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to take fresh dates as suhoor, in suhoor and in iftar. And if there were no fresh dates, then he would take dried dates. And if there were nothing available, then he used to just take few sips of water and either break his fast or start his fast. You know, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. And do not have a spousal, the next part of the ayah is that do not have a spousal relationship with them while you are in itikaf in masajid. These are the limits set by Allah, and do not even go near them. That is how Allah make His ayat clear for mankind, so they may practice righteousness. وَلَا تُبَاشِرُهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَقْرَبُوهَا كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ آيَاتِهِ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. The word itikaf refers to a religious practice of spending last 10 days of Ramadan in the masjid, and spending all that time in remembrance of Allah and seeking His forgiveness. One may go out of the masjid only for absolutely necessary needs of life and emergencies, but he must stay away from a spousal relationship. In this ayah, Allah makes it clear that a spousal relationship will invalid the itikaf of the person. We need to discuss these things. We need to know about these things, so we should stay away from those practices or advise others to stay away from those practices. It is disliked for someone to begin this itikaf. It is disliked for someone, makruh. It is disliked for someone to start the itikaf if he knows that he cannot finish. So don't start it if you cannot finish. A scholar agree that the itikaf can only be done in masajid, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah said that وَأَنْتُمْ آكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ, that you are making an itikaf in a masjid. So some of the scholars have said that the itikaf can only be done in the masajid where Friday prayers are regularly held, not in every masjid.
And what the
Women's itikaf, they can stay home, you know, and they can. It's not that they are not good enough to go to masjid. It is because what man or other evil woman would talk about that woman being in masjid for last 10 days of Ramadan. It is what they would do. It is what others. So a woman's honor is being given a very high priority, even over the religious practices like itikaf. She can go, but what would happen? What the mother outlaw would say or the sister outlaw would say, you know, not in-laws. When we start breaking these limits, we are outlaws. We are not in-laws. You know what the husband would suspect her, you know, and things like that. Some scholars, Imam Malik and Abu Hanifa said the minimum duration of itikaf, which most of the people don't know. That minimum duration of itikaf is 1 day and 1 night. So you can do itikaf for 1 full day and 1 full night, and that will be considered itikaf for the sake of Allah. You don't have to do a full 10 days of itikaf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make things easier for you. Does not make things difficult for you. If you are working and it is impossible, and if you want to do a itikaf for 1 day on weekend or 2 days or both days of the weekend, you can do that. You don't have to do 10. But some scholars disagree. But I would take a position of what is easier. What is easier? What can be done by more people? You know, if the good acts, this is another hadith, if the good acts can be done regularly, no matter how small they are, it is better than doing a good act which is huge and big, and take a lot of efforts. So those minor acts which can be done regularly and easily, and for a majority of the people can perform it, is much better than making all these restrictions on people. Those who can go for 10 days, of course, Allah will reward them 10 times. Those who go for 1 day, Allah knows his limitation, and Allah will reward him accordingly, or 3 days or 2 days. And here is a beautiful thing. When we are coming about 10 minutes left. Okay, so don't worry, don't sleep. He's waiting for Coke. So, right? Yeah. So the next part of the ayah is tilka hududullahi fala taqrabuha. Means Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that these are the limits set by Allah. Don't even go near them. It did not say that don't break them. Don't even have an intention to break Allah's limits. And how would you avoid breaking Allah's limit if you don't come back to understanding Quran? If you don't understand Quran, you don't know where the limit starts and where it ends. So there is a possibility that you will break them. So come to the understanding of Quran, and the life becomes very, very easy. And this, following Islamic injunctions is one of the easiest things to do. One of the easiest things to do. And the word hudud, my respected brothers and sisters, it means limits and demarcation and the barriers. You put a barrier, you put a had. You put a barrier on the, Donald Trump's wall, hudud. Okay. So those are any demarcation, which is defining as a barrier or a demarcation or a limit, they are called hudud. Now we need to understand these words, the Arabic words. The doorman or a guard or a jail's warden or a police officer, or in Arabic, in real Arabic of Quran, are called haddad. Haddad. Yani those who establish limits, those who establish order, those who can say that don't do this, don't cross this, don't go from this door, go from that door. They are called haddad, those who establishing limits, because they prevent people from entering or exiting or performing certain acts. So they are called haddad. Iron is called hadid in Arabic, hadid. There is a surah, hadid. Dawud alayhi salam is mentioned in that surah because Allah gave him the knowledge of iron, of hadid, how to utilize the steel, iron and steel. And it is called, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called this a had because the vests, the garment which is made of metal in the old days, and people used to put those on, and they used to go for wars, and it used to stop attacks on them, and it used to save their lives. Exactly similar, exactly like that. Or like you have this helmet for motorbikes, okay? Or when you're doing the sky jumping, you have this helmet on. What does it do? It protects something to hurt your head. Or you have something, knee protectors or elbow protectors when you are riding a bike. These are the had. These are the had. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that word and says, tilka hududullahi fala ta'taduha. Means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever the prohibitions and prohibitions He has talked about in Quran, it saves you, it protects you from being punished or being involved in wrong things. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said hududullah, the understanding of hududullah is that Allah's hudud is not something which you should be afraid of, but you should be thankful of, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us those hudud, those limits, so those limits protect us from the temptations and distractions and wrong actions throughout our life. If we don't know hudud, we will fall into it. So Allah's hudud is a blessing, is not something which is difficult. It is a blessing. Allah said, don't do it. It's a blessing. Because He loves you so much that He does not want you to fall into temptation and do something which you will be sorry for, And it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا تَقْرَبُوهَا. It is a firm and a very clear order that don't even go near it. Not that to do not exceed my limits. No, don't even go near it. Don't even go near it, because Allah has established. Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, An-Nasai and Ibn Majah narrated that the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, this is a beautiful hadith, wallah, that all sovereigns, all owners or all kings and all queens and all everybody, all rulers, and even in a smaller areas, all authorities have their pastures, their limits which are enclosed. They keep their pastures, they keep their lands enclosed. You can see when you have a property, you put a fence around it, right? And the pasture of Allah, Allah's limits, Allah's land's limits are His prohibitions. That these are the fences Allah has. Tilka hududullahi fala taqrabuha. Fala taqrabuha. So whoever keep grazing himself or keep his animals, there is a doubt, there is that animal or that person, if he goes near Allah's limit, someday he will cross it. So he is told not to do it. So somebody tells you, I only sell heroin, I don't use it. Or only sell alcohol and I don't use it. He is violating Allah's limit by getting involved in those bad things. He is violating Allah's limits by getting involved in those things. Yes, I have bad friends. Yes, I sit with them sometime. Yes, they smoke. Yes, they smoke marijuana. But I don't smoke. No, you are violating the limits. Someday when you go this close and have your relationships and have your friendships and your choices of those companies and choices of those gatherings, someday you will start doing it too. That's what it means. Unfortunately, majority of the Muslims do not understand the legislations of Quran. If we knew the legislations of Quran and we know the Islamic Sharia, Islamic law, we would not float near those limits. But because we don't know it, that's why we even cross those limits and we don't know we have crossed it. So it is our personal, individual and collective responsibility to know what Allah has prohibited. So we can establish a house or a community or a group of people or husband and wife relationship where nobody is crossing Allah's limits. And that peace will always be there. Many people, I have seen many people, those who even call themselves scholarly names, diligently work or argue just to simply to justify that if somebody is doing something wrong, they would say, well, he's only 18 years old. And all 18 years old, when I was 18, I used to do worse. That is not an argument. That is not an argument. And if we do that, then it continues to take us. It continues to take us towards sin and error and downright wrongdoing completely. When we reach to that point, my respected brothers and sisters, we lose the capacity and capability even differentiating what is right and what is wrong. When we go near, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves us sanity and saves us the nature that don't go near Allah's limit. Tilka hududullahi fala taqrabuha. Because if you start going near Allah's limit, okay, 5 people, I'm the sixth person among and in the group of those 6 people, those who are going to eat, and they are all drinking alcohol, and I would not, because I don't drink, but I'm sitting there. Well, someday you will. Or you will get a hit, or you will get a repercussion or something which somebody else gets high and do it to you. And if you were not there, may not have happened to you. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means tilka hududullahi fala taqrabuha, fala taqrabuha. Increasing our knowledge of Quran, my respected brothers and sisters, invites us to understand the limits and understand what is right and differentiate what is from what is wrong. Permissible and prohibited things can only be learned by studying in detail just reading or memorizing Quran, it's a good deed. Don't get me wrong. And people do get me wrong when I say that. That you did a good deed that you have memorized, or you can read Arabic and you can read Quran. Very good. Try to understand it now. And when you understand it, try to apply it on yourself first. We have made groups and we go to people's houses, knock their door, and invite them to do such and such thing with them. Well, if you ask them a question about Quran, so only one of them who is at the forefront knows, and the other 5 are just this, dumb goats, followers, just standing quiet at the back. We don't need dumb goats. We already have a lot of dumb goats. We need people, those who understand, those who read, memorize, read, understand, follow, and implement it on themselves, and then go out and teach somebody else. Only that will correct our practices, and that corrected practice will guide us in maintaining self-control in any environment, in any company, and that will also keep us within the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Inshallah, we will make a dua and then we'll finish the program, and inshallah next week, same place, same time. And I request all of you and those who are watching is to go to YouTube and subscribe there. I mean, subscribe doesn't mean that you are paying something to me. It is free subscription on YouTube, and you can look me up by my first, middle, and last name. And there are about 80 videos, but I don't have time to add. There are about 100 more videos left, which I have to upload, but I run out of time every day. Can't do it. Someday I will, inshallah. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب جهنم وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا ورزقا واسعا وقلبا خاشيا ولسانا ذاكرا وحلالا طيبا وتوبة نصوحا وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت والمغفرة عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. آمين يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.